broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and good morning, real estate world. How are we today? Okay, Deanna, you have to answer because they're on mute.
There, we're great. Yay!
All right, good morning, everybody. We have so much to cover today. And if you've ever been to any of my live trainings, you know that I always talk a little bit in the beginning for the stragglers. And you should see the people going click, 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 click coming on. Pretty fascinating as I go through the attendance list here. I have friends on this and well, other people I don't know from Connecticut, Miami, Atlanta, Georgia, Seattle, Tulsa, Oklahoma, because I always ask for the cities because what's happened is people have shared this link all over the country, so it's kind of neat. It's amazing how many people we can touch with the webinar. And those of you on the East Coast, I hope you're having lunch while you're doing this. That would be a pretty good way to spend your time. Anyway, so I just wanted to say good morning and thank you guys. And I had to give a little testimonial, two of them that stick out in my mind. And the only reason I'm saying it is because I noticed they're on every week, and I've been watching their social media presence. And the first one's Lisa in Arizona, and she's gone way out of her way to say, because of what you and Deanna have taught me, I've gotten a couple listings in the last few weeks. Her price range might be 300,000-400,000, but if we could make somebody 25 grand in a couple weeks by just paying attention to your social media presence, I think that's pretty amazing. And the other one, Tim in Chicago, he's another HomeSmart friend of mine, and I met him in Arizona actually. And he contemplated using Deanna for a couple of weeks to manage the media. He eventually did, and he's got his listing already this week from what he learned on Google Plus last week, which is awesome. So congratulations, Deanna. I really appreciate you doing this for us. With that being said, let's kind of move on and talk about our Facebook group. These wonderful, wonderful people out there in webinar land every single week keep asking me, where do we get the updates? And we have to say this every week because this is where we're posting our links. Now, the link that you're on today is going to work for the rest of the classes, but if you want to know what class is coming up next, or if you want to know the interesting tips Deanna's posting, get on some of this Facebook group, and it's pretty simple. Stark and HomeSmart 10-week social media series. And then if you want to be in the next level training series, I'm not sure if it says the anymore or not. I might have changed that. But Next Level Training Series, which is a private group, which is a new webinar series we're going to be starting. For those of you across the country that don't know, I'm training this live. It's a 16-week course designed to get you from 4 or 5 deals a year, which most agents do, to over 50. And that's a huge commitment. It's a huge life change. And what I've done is I've compiled everything I've learned over the past 24 years, put it all together with today's technology, and that's why it takes 16 weeks to get through it. The people that are in the class are just killing it, just banging it out of the park right now with sales, new listings. Their attitudes have changed. They've lost tons of weight. Life is good. So it's really working, and I'm more than excited for that. And that's why I decided to absolutely, we're going to do it for you guys, a webinar series, and then we'll continue to do the social media series as well. That's a lot. I'm sorry. All right. So we talked a little bit about Deanna. She's the owner of Stark Social. Yes, she runs pretty much all of my social media except for my absolute personal Facebook page. And we've talked about it before. There's no way that I can do it all running several different companies. So I need help. And Deanna's been sweet enough to agree to do these with us. And, we're so glad you're here, Deanna. Thank you so much. So with that being said, if you guys can give her shout outs on social media, connect with her on social media, tag her on social media, those are all really appreciated things because that's how we make her a big deal in her world so she can pick up more clients. As far as I'm concerned, and there's probably 100 people on here that weren't on here last week that I'm excited that you're here. My name is Mike Bjorkman, and I'm the owner broker of HomeSmart NCG in Santa Clarita, California. And we're almost ready to open our Northridge office. Now, for those of you that ask, why the heck do I do this? Honestly, I'm very transparent. I want people to know about Northridge and our offices, and I want people to know about HomeSmart, and I hopefully someday want them to join our company. Not a big sales pitch. I just like to go over why HomeSmart and why I decided to go there. First and most important, Commission, $49 a month fees, which pays for all your tools, technology, and then $4.99 transaction fee. The nice thing is it only goes down from there. So a couple things that I like to point out is the proprietary software that HomeSmart has. It's a complete office management solution that runs everything from anywhere in the world. Your website, which is way different and way better than most, that attaches a blog and a CRM, all the things you need to be successful in real estate. Every property that you list gets a single property website with virtual tours automatically uploaded to YouTube. What I'm really excited about right now is the new buyer and seller presentations. The CMAs that I'm doing for my sellers right now are blowing their minds. We can send out a link completely branded to us with more information than you could ever imagine. And I'll go as far to say it's better than CMA Cloud CMA or whatever that is. Okay, that's my quick little pitch. Let's get into, wait, Google Plus. I have been trying to upload that to YouTube. You guys got to remember, I'm not a techie guy, but for some reason, YouTube doesn't like that Google Plus webinar we did, and you might remember some of the technical difficulties we had. Me and Deanna might have to do that again if we can't get it. I'm going to Dropbox it to her and see if she could figure it out because she's the YouTube pro. And if we can't, we'll have to do it again, and we'll let you know when that's uploaded. All right, let's move on. Geez, look at all these hands up. Let's move on to LinkedIn and my experience with it. Now, you guys know, or those of you that know me know that I'm a crazy, fun, very personable, social guy. I'm all about Facebook. I love Facebook, and I make, 500 grand a year just from Facebook alone. But what I learned early in the business is LinkedIn is very powerful. And I'll tell you why. There's two different types of people. There's professionals that don't necessarily believe in goofing around on social media, but they do believe in showing off their expertise, their jobs. Basically, I consider LinkedIn a huge platform for all the cocky, snobby, stuck-up CEOs to show off what they're doing and get their name really out there. So if they ever get canned, they'll get another job and people know them. Interesting enough. So I know you're laughing at me. So what I've
Training's
done,
over.
so what I've done is I've found other angles, and it's really important for us as real estate agents. And I know there's plenty of you on here that aren't real estate agents, but I think most of you are in sales. There's so many, let's say half the world is on Facebook and half the world is on LinkedIn. So if you're making 500 grand a year off Facebook, why not add another 500 grand off LinkedIn and pretty much work in your underwear every day from your closet like I'm doing right now? And then, life becomes a lot easier. You can forget about all those hard prospecting things and go from there. So let me tell you a little story. Some of you know in 2011, I got really pissed off and I said, you know what? All these people in my town and other towns are making so much money via REO. And I said, I want to get into REO. And I made a conscious effort. I made a few phone calls. I learned how to do it. And I started getting on airplanes and going to see asset managers and bank CEOs and presidents and CFOs and all that stuff. So I'm landing myself in front of these really important people, but I might only have 2 or 3 minutes to introduce myself. So me being a Facebook clown, I'm like, hey, man, let's hook up on Facebook. And they're like, yeah, right. We don't even have a Facebook. Or I would friend request them, but it wasn't quite ready. The relationship hadn't been built. But what I noticed a lot, and I think these corporate kind of people are trained, they would delete my friend requests on Facebook, but they would search me out on LinkedIn and connect that way. And to me, that was good enough. Now I have their contact information. Now I know they can see my updates. And then I built that relationship and earned their trust through LinkedIn on a professional level. And then before you know it, I'm building relationships with all these people on their personal Facebooks. One of the biggest reasons I had to block all my friends on Facebook is because a lot of my bank contacts are on there. And of course, the vulture agents were going after all my contacts and friend requesting my asset managers. So that's one of the biggest reasons I had to stop that. So before we get started, think of LinkedIn as the other Facebook that's more professional, and it's the same thing, just a little different playing field. And once you get the hang of it, and I'll admit, first of all, I only know about half the stuff I should know, but what I do know is enough to keep me extremely busy, extremely engaged with professionals that can afford to buy and sell property, that can afford to buy and sell rental property, and their referrals are amazing because they're referring me their employees and their bosses, and it's a very professional institutional platform. So, okay, Deanna, thank you so much for being here. Tell us what you know and why it matters.
Awesome. So basically, LinkedIn has changed a lot over the last, gosh, forever. Initially, when it started out, LinkedIn, and I think a lot of people are still intimidated by it, LinkedIn was basically a professional database. It was, if you were a professional, and literally a professional, it was a place for CEOs, directors, managers to go and connect, and then it started to grow into a more extensive database for people to find jobs and to promote themselves and to join groups and create these great places for people to meet and talk. So it's continued to grow over the last, 5-6 years, from something that was very intimidating to something that's becoming a little bit more friendlier. So much so that there's over 225 million people using LinkedIn right now. But the funny thing to me is that only about a third of LinkedIn members actually log in each day and use it. But the reason why LinkedIn matters is it's ranked number 3 of all the social networks as of 2014. 64% of, oh, pardonnez-moi. Let's go back and start that one over again. 64% of referrals to website traffic is actually coming from LinkedIn. And you can connect with industry leaders. 74% of users are actually, I don't know why that keeps going away. That is totally my fault. I'll just do it like this for a second. 74% of users actually research brands or businesses on LinkedIn. 240 active users, just million users in North America. And self-promotion is actually very welcome. People don't think that you want to talk about yourself on LinkedIn, but that is a complete and total non-truth. You can actually promote yourself and promote your business on LinkedIn, and it's completely okay. Don't be intimidated by it. So let's just get through this next couple slides, and then I'm going to go into some really cool tips and tricks that you may have not realized existed. LinkedIn optimizes your personal brand. So why this is important: you can create a national brand just from your living room. You don't have to travel, you don't have to be all over the place, but you can connect with potential leads from all over the country and become a subject matter expert just by promoting your business and your services on LinkedIn through your profile. You can share content in groups and engage with professionals on many different levels. And you can also utilize LinkedIn pages, which are very similar to Facebook pages. And if you took my last training at HomeSmart, or if you saw Mike in Newport with the training that we put together for that, we talked about LinkedIn pages. I'll go over it just a little bit in this presentation as well. So connections equal future leads, and one of the things that people ask me all the time is they're afraid to connect with people. They don't know, like, should I ask that person? You need to place a value on each new connection. If somebody invites you to connect, you need to make sure that you're making sure that they're a relevant connection, and don't connect with everybody. You can start a conversation with every new person that sends you a connection just by using LinkedIn Mail. You don't have to do anything fancy, just send them a note saying, hey, thanks for connecting. Create a timed marketing strategy around any connections that you get, and you can use your other social media platforms to connect with them. Like Mike said, when the relationship has come to that point, you don't want to just say, like, oh, it's the CEO of a national company, I'm going to friend you on Facebook, because they might be put off by that and think that you're jumping the gun. Invite connections to join your inner circle. If you've created a group, if you have something where you're doing a lot of things where you're like, hey, I think you would enjoy this, you can always invite connections and see how they feel about it, and that's where that LinkedIn Mail comes in. And you can offer incentives for future business transactions for connections that you think would benefit from it. So if you have, let's say you have an investor who you're working with on a regular basis, you can offer them an incentive type program where you can say, we can do this and the both of us benefit from it. All right. So tips to make the most of your LinkedIn. Tip number 1, you can use anonymous browsing to discover new leads. Now, I'm putting all these tips out there with the thought and consideration that probably all of you have started a LinkedIn profile at one point in time or another. And maybe you're not using it, maybe you haven't updated it in a while, but this is now your opportunity to go in and find people to connect with. So why is anonymous browsing important? Well, a lot of people will give you different opinions depending on how you're using it or how they're using it. But one of the tips that I have told people over and over again is if you want to take a look at someone's profile that maybe you admire, maybe you're in the same business and you're kind of curious about how they've set up their profile, maybe you're looking to do some research and see how other people on LinkedIn are doing things with their profiles, it's okay to use anonymous browsing to take a look at people's profiles, maybe to get some information on a potential new lead. Maybe there's that person that you know that they're talking to a few other agents and you just want to maybe get a little bit of information on them, do a little bit of research. So you do that from your profile in your account section. So account settings, and you see this little area right here that's circled in red. It says select what others see when you view their profile. Now, in this other little screen cap here, which you'll see on the right side of your screen, is you can go back and forth, and you can go and you can say, this is, all right, I'm going to let people see who I am, or I'm going to be totally anonymous, or I'm going to let that middle one is usually what I use when I start to bounce around. I'll use that middle anonymous profile if I'm, people call it spying, if I'm, researching is what I like to call it. You can research and see if you can get some information on how to do your LinkedIn profile better, how to, maybe get that last little bit of information that's going to seal the deal. So you can use anonymous browsing whenever you feel like it. If you want to turn it on and off, that's okay. I always leave it on when I'm just doing my day-to-day activities, but when I'm researching, I'll switch it off to anonymous. Tip number 2, so connect via search rather than profiles. So a lot of times what people will do is they'll search a name and you'll search the name and you'll see, like for example, I searched Dan Reagan, who is a HomeSmart agent, and I realize that we're not connected. But a lot of times what you'll do is you'll type in the name of the person you want to connect with and you'll see it in the drop-down. Instead of going to the drop-down and clicking and connecting through their profile, connect through the search, whatever comes up. And here's why, is LinkedIn is starting to make it more and more difficult for people to connect with other individuals who you might not have a connection with. So what you probably noticed is if you go to someone's profile and you click on connect, it asks you, how do you know this person? And a lot of times, if you say friend or colleague or coworker, it will ask you to pick, you worked with them here, or you know them there, or you're a part of this group. And if they don't have a way to verify that you actually know that connection, then you'll kind of get stonewalled and you end up going into their in-mail, which ends up wasting time. So this is a really great trick for going around that process. So you can connect through people here. And a lot of times what I'll notice is it'll give me other options of individuals and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. I didn't see that person before. So I might pop over and connect with somebody else. This is a great way to find other people in your area. So the great thing about LinkedIn search is you can search by job description, you can search by individual, you can search by area. And if you're completely new to using LinkedIn search, I would definitely recommend searching in your area first, especially if you live in a specific town. So like here in Santa Clarita, I'll search Valencia, California, or Saugus, California, because even though the city of Santa Clarita has this, it's the city of Santa Clarita, it has a bunch of different neighborhoods, and I know that's a lot, that's like a lot of different suburban areas. So take that into account when you're searching for new connections. The other thing you'll notice on the left side is that it'll give you locations. You can say United States, United Kingdom, Greater Boston area, and you can add locations, so that also lets you drill down to specific areas near you. All right. So let's take a look at this one. Ask connections for endorsements. So one of the things that was really neat that actually somebody asked me over the last couple of weeks was, on LinkedIn, is it okay for me to connect with somebody I've sold a home to or whose home I'm selling? Is that okay? And absolutely. They're a professional connection. They're not just somebody you met on the street and you decided to look for them on LinkedIn. If you have a client who you've just completed a transaction with, whether it's buying or selling or helping them, connecting them with somebody who can help them better for their services or whatever you need to do, you can connect with those people on LinkedIn and ask them for recommendations or endorsements. And here's why this matters. This is real life experience, and that's what matters when people are vetting you to do business with. It doesn't matter if somebody you worked with 10 years ago says, Mike is a great sales guy, he's awesome, because that's not real life experience. We don't know what happened, we don't know what the instance was. It's completely different than if somebody sits down and says, Mike helped us with our short sale. There were all these issues for months and months and months before we connected with him, and it was a great transaction. We're super excited, and we would use him again in a heartbeat and recommend him to all our friends. So there's the difference in the endorsement or the recommendation. So don't be afraid to actually ask people that you've worked with or that you've helped in certain situations to endorse you on LinkedIn. It's a great testimonial to who you are and what you're doing. So LinkedIn tricks to increase success. So one of the things that people don't know is that when you're posting on LinkedIn, you can actually use the @reply sign. So just like you do on Twitter or on Facebook, LinkedIn has now implemented that you can tag people or businesses in a post with the @reply sign. And it's so great because what happens is that person or that business page will get notified that they were tagged in your post. And a lot of times what that does is that encourages cross-promotion or sharing. Just like on Facebook or on Twitter or on Google Plus now, all of these different social channels are starting to adopt the same type of protocol for when posting comes into play, because they want to make it easy for users to streamline their experience. So if you're posting about something that you read on Harvard Business Review, you can go ahead and tag them in it, and it will notify them that they've used it. It's really funny because I've done that with a few clients, and I've actually had those entities that we've tagged go and like the post and comment and say thanks for sharing. So that's important. You're building relationships in that way, and also it's adding to your credibility. A lot of times what agents don't realize or people don't realize is that one of our favorite tools, Evernote,
Oh my God. You got to hold on for a second. First of all, you're going to blow minds. So you know me, I roll over you and talk every week, and I just love to interrupt you. Well,
that's okay. That's when I check my Facebook updates.
My mute button was on, and I couldn't get it off, so I'm sitting here screaming at everybody. Wait for me. I had questions. Can we go back just a little bit? Because not only did a couple people ask the question, but I'd like to clarify it once and for all. So if you went back to asking for recommendations, now, I don't know how to say this nicely, but I get all these cheesy people that I don't know and I don't really care about, and I've never done business with, asking me to endorse them. Now, I'm just a straight out guy. I'm very transparent. If I have not really done business with you, there's no way in hell I'm going to endorse you for anything. So I ignore them. But is that ethical? Should I at least, should they reach out to me and type a message? Should I, I just don't feel like I want to endorse them because it's not true. But I also don't want to get them mad at me to where they don't endorse me if I was to ask for that. I just feel weird about this whole endorsement thing. Tell me the etiquette with that.
Yeah, so that's great. I actually had 3 or 4 people in the last few months who sent me requests for recommendations. And I honestly had no idea where I knew 2 of the 3 people from. So I started a conversation. I said, thanks for reaching out. I really appreciate you asking for the recommendation. Can you give me a little information about where we might have worked together so I can better decide what I'm going to do in this situation? And it actually turned out that one of the people, this was really neat, was a student in one of my classes that I taught when I was a substitute teacher for Saugus Union School District. And so we made that connection, and as it turned out, she really wanted the endorsement, but what I ended up telling her was that, I would love to find out what you're doing now and help you out in the future with an endorsement, but, let's have coffee and connect and see what we can do together. Now, in situations where you're just uncomfortable and it's okay, this person, we may have worked together, we may not have worked together, we just know each other, we met at a mixer, those kinds of things, I always like to say, don't ignore it. because that skews the perception of you as a professional. So respond back with, thanks so much for the request. I appreciate it. I'll definitely look for an opportunity when I can give you an endorsement. So you're not shooting them down and saying, no, I'm not going to ever endorse you, but you're giving them hope for the future that something might come out of it. But you definitely don't want to write fake endorsements for people because you can tell. I mean, I've come across, when I'm looking to work with part-time, social media interns, I've come across people who have, 10 endorsements, and most of them are, you can tell that they're coming from friends or family members. It's like, Lacey's a great girl. It's like, okay, that's clearly your grandma. So, make sure that you're giving endorsements that are truthful and that convey real life experience versus just, like Mike's a great guy. I met him last week at a mixer and I think he's swell. So
I love
yeah.
it. And then one other thing I just wanted to breeze over, and you might have this down the road in the slides, but I get contacted. Well, I did my messages like 4 days ago. I have 221, what do you call these messages? And
Yeah.
half of them look like a robot spammed me, but the other half are just, just tons of people saying, thanks for connecting with me. I'd love to do business with you. It's just so boring and so annoying. So what I wanted to point out to my lovely agents across the country, what do you call it? Just don't spam people. Have something
Well,
legitimate to talk to them about, because I'm sitting here
yeah.
as I delete these, I'm going, you have no chance of ever working with me, people. I mean, there's no way. The way you've put these messages together, or tell me, is there a robot spamming me? I mean, these things are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's actually really funny because after one of our recent trainings, I had coffee with somebody I met through the training, and we talked about the LinkedIn auto replies. So there are several tools out there, and this goes for Twitter, this goes for Facebook, this goes for Google+. There are several tools and applications out there that allow you to automate email message responses, and my personal opinion is just don't do it. I'll connect with someone, and then 2 seconds later, I'll have a message in my inbox that says, thanks so much for connecting. Visit my profile here, 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 and here. And then, it's like, oh, okay. Clearly that's automated, and I don't appreciate automation as much as I do somebody 2 weeks down the road going, hey, thanks for connecting with me. I'd love to do business in the future. Here's my Facebook profile. Give it a like if you think it's cool. I appreciate that much more than the automated, spammy, check out my profile here, 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 and here, and here, and here. And it's funny because we had this conversation. I've had it so many times. If you don't have the time to respond to your connections right away, it's no big deal. If you're getting those spammy auto responses, I end up unconnecting with people. And people are like, oh, that's so harsh. But it's true. If you don't have the time to cultivate your leads, then just leave it alone. Just leave it as a profile, and it might be harsh. But yeah, it's so disconcerting when you pop on and you're so excited. I connected with a CEO of a company, and I was really excited, and I sent him a message, and I got an auto response back, and it was like, oh, great. And so I replied back, I'd love to get on the phone and talk. And I got literally the same response back. And I tested it. So I sent this is great. And it was the same response back. So just be aware. It's like, wow.
I'm thinking of what my auto response might say.
Oh, gosh.
All right, let me
Great.
ask you one more question before you start really wowing everybody with that slide, because that's like the hottest thing out right now. In this presentation, and I apologize I didn't take the time to go through the slides, are we going to go into groups at all? Seems like we might have blown over that.
No, we will. There's still time.
Okay, because yeah, that's something really, really huge I need to discuss. So, okay, fire away. I'm going to mute myself, so I'll stop wasting our time here. Go ahead.
Yay! Mute yourself.
Jerk.
All right, so this is supposed to be like, yay, Evernote. So I know that a lot of agents use Evernote. A lot of agents use LinkedIn. As of last year, sometime around fall, Evernote and LinkedIn created this fantastical partnership where if you use the Evernote mobile app, you can take pictures of your business cards. And it used to be that you could take pictures and just store them in Evernote. Well, now Evernote has created this link between the two applications. And what it will do is if you take a picture of a business card, it will then show you, once you've connected the two apps, how it'll show you the profile of the person by doing a smart search. So I was going to save this for later, but we can pop over to it right now. I was going to put together like a whole thing, but I decided that we would just use Evernote's really cool video because it's really cool. This is just, and if you want to keep up to date, check out their blog for sure.
No audio, Deanna.
That's all right. So you'll see you get all the LinkedIn details. And then what this is great for is if you go to a mixer, if you attend a conference. So if you go to a mixer, if you attend a conference, if you're at a meet and greet, if you're going all over the place, and you're just like collecting business cards right and left. I know last week there was a big 3-day event and people were all over the place. If you're collecting business cards, what I recommend is instead of sitting down and typing in the name of the person on the business card, do this with your Evernote. And if you're not already using Evernote, I highly recommend it. And if you have questions about Evernote, let me know. But if you're collecting cards of contacts that you want to connect with for future things, this is the best way to keep track of them without having to do the old school, like 10 years ago when I was going to conferences, I would end up rubber banding them all together and then get home or get to the hotel at the end of the night and sit there and write, oh, I'm going to search LinkedIn and then I'm going to connect with them. And then you lose that business card and you're like, who was that person and why did I need to connect with them? I don't know how many times that happened to me. So this is a great way for you to manage your business contacts that you collect when you're out and about. And you can set reminders to connect with those people. So if you want to send them, remind yourself to send them an email in like 2-3 days after you meet them. Or if you want to set a reminder for an action item or a to-do list or anything, you can do that and manage your contacts at the same time in Evernote. So when I sat down for a LinkedIn training, it was LinkedIn and then they talked about Evernote for 20 minutes. It totally blew my mind, all of the things you can do. One of the things over the next 3 months that LinkedIn and Evernote are going to do is they're going to create this like partnership that allows you to manage your emails to those people too. So it's a totally whole, wow, my brain just exploded type of thing. But this is a great connection that you should take advantage of. I know that Mike and a lot of the agents at HomeSmart here locally use Evernote on a regular basis to manage listings, to manage the whole process, to communicate with each other. So if you have a team, or if you are a team, or if you're an individual and you're connecting with potential leads, now this is great for, think about if you go to a property preview. If you're looking at a property, there's somebody who's interested in having you sell their home, don't be afraid to ask them for their business card. Connect with them on LinkedIn, show off who you are and what you can do, and then use Evernote to manage the whole process. You can take pictures of the home and keep it in a notebook. You can make notes about the home all directly from your mobile devices if you have an iPad or an iPhone or one of those other like Microsoft products. But this is a great thing, and I highly recommend that you visit the Evernote blog, blog.evernote.com, and take a look at all the different really cool things that they've introduced in the last 3-4 months.
Deanna, are we not doing an Evernote class coming up, or is that something different?
I don't think it's on our thing, but we can do one.
Maybe we should add a bonus one of Evernote and maybe Canva or something. Hey, and for those of you listening local, this Thursday, Tracy, the Evernote queen at my office, is going to be going over some Evernote stuff. So make sure you're there at 11 o'clock and learn some. We're going to, this Thursday's class is killer. So just write it in your calendar now. Okay, sorry, go.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, go. Tracy is amazing, so definitely make some time for that. So you can do a lot of really cool things with your LinkedIn profile, and we'll pop around LinkedIn for a few minutes when I'm done with this. But what we've done for Mike's profile is we've added videos to each section that we have a video. So the SCV leasing section has the intro video, the HomeSmart video has the marketing your home video. So if you have videos that represent what you do for a client and shows what you do really well and gives an idea of who you are, I would definitely recommend popping that thing on YouTube and adding it to your LinkedIn profile. The great thing about this is that it gives you the opportunity to appeal to all different kinds of users and learners. So you have the text and information that explains what HomeSmart is, if you look at this little screen cap here. And then for those people that like to watch and learn and are visual, you've got the video. So you've got the best of both worlds. The great thing about LinkedIn profiles is they continue to evolve and change. So you want to add all kinds of things like if you participate in any charity events, are you on the board of a charity? Did you put together some sort of great, exciting thing? You can add all of that stuff. And the great part about it is it really just speaks to who you are. And LinkedIn has become more and more and more about the individual and less about that cold, static facts and details. So you really want to individualize your profile to make sure that you're taking advantage of all of those different opportunities. One of the things that I did get asked this last week was, can I have a profile page represent my business? And while the answer is you can totally do that, however, LinkedIn, just like Facebook and Google+, is starting to weed out those individuals who have their profiles as their business page. So if you are, if you're not, say I'm not Deanna Miller, say my profile said Stark Social and it didn't have a profile picture and it just had a header or a cover photo that only represented my business, eventually, once LinkedIn gets around to it, I might get a nice little email that says, hey, Stark Social, we noticed you're not a person. So we're giving you 30 days to change that, otherwise your profile is going to go goodbye. The same thing as I also saw, one of the mistakes I saw is people who work together. So if you're a couple, creating one profile for two people, that's also going to start being frowned upon. So if you are two people, like you're a team, if you're a couple that works together, make sure that you each have your own profile and that you're linking it to either a business page or a website or something, because you're not taking advantage then of all of the SEO opportunity that you could get. So definitely remember that. You want to engage with a business page as a business page, not a profile. So if you have questions about that or that's confusing, we can talk about that and I can show you a little bit more when we pop onto LinkedIn. I think I just have another couple things I wanted to go over. Use LinkedIn's enhancements. So they have added now, you can create ad campaigns, you can sponsor specific content. So if you have a post that you want to sponsor or you want to create an advertisement, they have this, it's the same almost basic setup as Facebook, so I won't go into too much detail on how to do it, but definitely play around with it and see how you feel about it. Their ad buy-in range is a little bit different, so you might want to take a look at it and see where you're comfortable. You can build a follow button for your blog or your website. So if you're using WordPress, this is super, super easy. If you have somebody who is helping you with your website, you might want to send this code to them and have them put it in instead of breaking it like I might do. That's why I have a full-time person who does that stuff for me. And then also, don't forget to take advantage of all of the information that LinkedIn provides in case studies. So if you see all these different companies have participated in LinkedIn case studies, and basically what that means is they've beta tested a lot of different plugins, opportunities, different technology for LinkedIn, and they've had a lot of success with it. And LinkedIn shares all that information on their blog and in their help section. Okay, so groups equal free marketing. I do want to go through this list really quick, and then I'll go show you how to join and create groups, which is really easy and it's super cool. So power users will join a minimum of 10 groups. People who are considered power users that are just exceeding and excelling expectations are members of more than 10 groups. You can share content and listings to a group. This is a great way to discover connections that count. This is actually how I found the marketing group that I joined that's based out of the East Coast, and how I wooed them with my awesomeness so that I could join them. You can gain exposure and credibility. What's really great is that if you make the right connections, they'll actually search you out and see where you are and find you in different areas, especially when it comes to groups. And then you'll have people that invite you to groups because they think that it would be helpful to have you in it, or maybe you can share and engage with other team members. You can boost organic website traffic by sharing things directly from your website into groups. You don't want to be spammy about it, so you don't want to constantly be posting just the same stuff over and over again to every group that you're a part of, but you definitely want to make sure that you're reaching a consistent audience with the content that you're sharing. So let's just go ahead and jump over really quick to LinkedIn. There are a few things I wanted to show you guys, and then we can actually take some, I'll leave some time for questions because I know there's probably a lot. So going to your home screen. People want to connect with me. All right, so I want to show you from your home screen. This constantly changes all the time. This used to be a big header, it used to have news. Well, now it just shows you how your profile ranks, and you can check on your recent activity. This is a great section right here on the right to keep up with what's going on with the people you connect with most often. So these are great ways to keep in touch. So it says this person has a new profile picture. Great, I'm going to go ahead and like it. Melissa has a work anniversary. She's a good friend of mine from New Jersey, so I'm going to like that. So you can go through and see what the information is, and this is so helpful because it saves me from going through the feed like this to look for stuff.
Deanna,
So
go back to Roxanne's open house that she posted. She's on this webinar right now, so give her props because she's listening.
I was going to do that.
Oh, okay. Great minds.
All right, so you want to be mindful of all of the things that are advertisements, though. So take a look at this. The LinkedIn section for ads has gotten so smart because it used to be that it was fettered throughout your threads, and you really weren't aware of what was ads and what was not. So ads will be on the right side, and then sponsored posts will be throughout the feed. This is great. So what I noticed while I was listening to Mike talk a little while ago, and I was checking my Facebook feed, was that Roxanne created an event for an open house that's coming up on Facebook, and she invited several key people, including myself, so I'm really happy about that. And what she did was she then took that link and she posted it to LinkedIn. So she is sharing it everywhere that she possibly can in order to drive traffic, right, and increase her search engine availability. And this is a great example of using all of the social media channels together to achieve success for your listings, for your business opportunities, without being spammy. She's not, I mean, in no way is she trying to be like, you know, look at me. This is just very subtle. It's great. I love it. So that's a great example of a post that you can do. You can take things from your Facebook. So if you create an event or you create an offer, you can post them here. If you have a YouTube video, if you have a Google Plus post that you found helpful, you can share it here. You don't have to limit yourself to only posting certain things on certain channels. So in your profile area, on your toolbar here, you've got profile, you can edit profile, you can see who's viewed your profile, and you can see your updates. One of the things I recommend is checking at least once a week, because I know you guys are busy. If you're not using the mobile app, which I recommend downloading, you can see who's viewed your profile, and at least once a week, check and see who's viewed your profile and if they are a viable connection that would make a difference in your day-to-day activities. You can look at your connections, you can find alumni, so if you went to college in a specific area, I connected with tons of alumni, and it's been great for my business because a lot of the people that I went to college with or that went to the same university that I went to have businesses where they're asking me for advice. It ends up being consultations, or I connect them with people based on my connections that can help them. So this is a great thing to do. Definitely take a look at anywhere that you went to school. Now, that's not to say that it's for connecting with your high school sweetheart and making sure that, you know, she knows that you think about her. But, you know, definitely connect with people you may have known. Jobs. You can look for a job in LinkedIn. That's one of the things that they became famous for, but let's pop on over to interests and take a look at these. Now, interest to me is the most interesting part, go figure, of LinkedIn, because you can look at different companies, and this is a great way to get an idea of how to build your profile, is looking at other companies and what they're doing. But if you're managing a business page, so if you're managing a company page, this is where you would find it. And if I click on that, that's going to take me to the area where I can see all of the companies that I follow and all of their updates. And I can also, from this area, manage the pages that I manage, so all the different ones that I take care of on here. And then it shows me the companies I've recently visited. And this is great because this is a perfect way to, if you're following specific companies that pertain to your industry, you can find content from here to share that's valuable to your industry to share to your LinkedIn profile. Super great. So let's talk about groups really quick. One of the things that I love about groups is that there are so many groups. There are over 20,000 groups on LinkedIn. Look at all these people wanting to connect with me. Oh my gosh. If you are confused about groups, take the tour. I won't go through it right now because it's like one of those click, 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 click. Take the tour. One of the best ways to do this is you can find all your groups here. Okay, so if there's a group that you want to join, if you want to see what the current discussion topics are in the groups that you're a part of, it's all right here. If you want to post something to a specific group, you can do that right from that dashboard. So they've made it so much easier. It used to be you had to go to that group, you had to open a text box, you had to add a link. So this is super great. I can choose from any of these groups, and I'm a part of a lot of groups. So don't be afraid to join a lot of groups and participate.
Okay, got to jump in. This is the part where I wanted to talk to my agents about real quick. So, groups, you guys, when I schedule prospecting, and I do for Facebook, LinkedIn, all that good stuff, when I do LinkedIn, this is primarily where I spend my time. Now, I can tell you lots of times where I've actually gotten listings from this. More importantly, this is where I've connected with the power people in my town, people that make decisions, own businesses, and run companies. And this is why I joined their groups. So if you scrolled up, Deanna, you could see right there is a group called VIA, Valley Industrial Association of Santa Clarita. Now, I know a couple people that are in that group are on this webinar, and I'll just admit I purposely posted questions that they had about marketing and all kinds of stuff that just about leadership and business. And what happened was, after a couple of months of me communicating with VIA, and I'll even take it a step further, and I'll admit that I'm not a member of this association anymore, and I think it's just simply because I didn't pay my dues. But what they did is they invited me to join a paid class as a presenter and a speaker. So I'm actually, I think it's March 23rd, maybe something like that. I'm actually giving a class to like 100 people on successful negotiating. Now, these people in this class are business owners or small business owners that are trying to better themselves, or, intense salespeople. They're paying money to be part of this class, and I was honored and very privileged to be a presenter, speaker, teacher, whatever you want to call it. But what that is going to do is that's going to put me in front of that group of people that do buy and sell homes. So absolutely, I said yes. And then I negotiated that I get to sit through all the classes as well. So it's kind of neat how she had one success story right in front of you on this webinar live of how and why we want to be part of these groups. Now, another secret too, and as I look down this list, we have a lot of my REO friends and default friends on this call, and this is another huge secret. There's a lot of groups that do deal in default and investors and stuff like that, and I've communicated and I've stayed fresh in their minds, and I know for a fact that I'm maintaining my relationships with the asset managers to where I actually am a part of their community. So in 2 hours from now, because of some of these groups and the people I know, I am flying to Salt Lake City to Green River. Now, Green River is one of my best clients, and because of these groups and what I've done publicly, they've asked me to speak on a panel in front of all their agents tomorrow. Now, speaking in front of 500 agents is a really good ego boost for me, but more importantly, the people that run that company, the asset managers, and whoever makes decisions is going to be in that audience. Now they're never going to forget my name, and the chance of me keeping that account for foreclosures is pretty good. So because of these groups and dealing with the professionals, it's excelled my business tremendously. So if you've learned nothing else from today and you're not actively part of these groups, search what you're interested in. Start by searching your town, and you would not believe the groups that are in your town. Some are very active. Some only might have 10, 15 people in them, but that's okay too, because there's no way they're going to skip over you if there's that many people in the group. So you'll be noticed, and you could help build that group bigger if it's something you're interested in. All right, I'll shut up. Go.
Okay, so if you are looking to find a group, it's really, really, really easy. Straight from that dashboard, you can enter a topic of interest. I think for another training that I did, I typed in real estate. This may have just been like 4 or 5 people that were there for that training. But there are that many real estate groups. And the great thing about it is that you can dial it down to English language, you can dial it down to open groups, you can dial it down to first connections, so people that you can find 3,103 connections in my network that are a part of this group. So what's great about groups is that it gives you a place to share your content. You can post directly to them, you can find members, you can search within it for specific topics. And what I use this for specifically, as well as Facebook groups and Google Plus communities, is I like to take a look and see what people in my industry are sharing and talking about, because the difference that makes is that if I see a thread, a question about Google Plus, if I see a question about the upcoming partnership between Twitter and Google, and I see that thread, I can save it, I can participate in it, I can look and see what other people are saying about those things, and that's really how I learn a lot of the stuff that I end up bringing to my own presentations. So definitely take a look at the groups. Here's the thing, I talked to a group of agents last week, 3 days out of the week I was on the phone with a group of agents talking to them 30 minutes each, and the homework that I gave each and every one of them was to schedule themselves 2 times a week, 15 to 20 minutes, in those 2 times a week to pick a social media channel, schedule yourself Facebook, whatever it is, LinkedIn, Twitter, give yourself 15 to 20 minutes to dedicate to a channel twice a week. So I'm not saying at all that you guys should be dedicating, hours and hours and hours and hours out of your day to building your social profiles or to joining groups. But if you're giving yourself 2 to 3 times a week to manage those social profiles, you'll start to see a difference in how productive those social profiles are. So I definitely, if you started a LinkedIn profile and you've done nothing with it, with it, I guarantee that if you start participating in groups, you're going to see an increase in connections, and you're going to see a lot of really great interaction with people that's going to be beneficial for your future. So definitely start with groups. Join, I like to say, join a couple groups a week, and then make sure you post once a week in those groups. It's so much easier than I think a lot of people give it credit for, unless, you know, you've got like, you know, 25 businesses like Mike and you have no time during your day to eat, sleep, or breathe. The other thing I wanted to point out to you is the Pulse section. So a lot of people forget that this is there. This is great because what's happened is they've taken thought leaders, people who are industry leaders, people who are CEOs, directors, CFOs, managers of hedge funds, large corporations, and they've given them a voice in the form of a LinkedIn type blog. So I will search this for great insight and information for my industry to see what the people who are doing that are industry leaders, what they're saying is important, because a lot of times these are the people who really make things a fad or make things popular or change direction. So take a look at the Pulse section as well. You can follow certain thought leaders, so there's a button under there, and you can go back and say, I'm going to add those to my feed so that I see them all the time when I'm looking at Pulse. We've got like 4 minutes left, so I want to open it up to questions. So if anybody has any questions that didn't get answered during this, lots of talking and interrupting. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, no problem. Hey, if you guys do have questions out there, I want to try the hand raise thing live. I did it on a Redfin webinar the other day, and it was really cool. So if you hit that raise your hand button, I can unmute you, and you can ask your question. I'd like to try that. Now, a lot of questions have been asked, Deanna, and I've been answering them privately. And when I do that, they disappear, and I didn't know that because I'm not a webinar super stud. But I'm going to go through some of the questions that I can remember off the top of my head until we get some more. But the first one is Christina, our good old buddy Christina, has a good question, and she asked, does it matter if you have the premium account or just a regular account?
Oh gosh, no. So here's the thing with premium accounts, unless you are looking for a job and you are like, I need a job tomorrow, I definitely say stick with the free account. I am definitely the kind of person that if I can get something equally as awesome for low cost or no cost, I definitely say go with it. So the premium account is great for job seekers. So if you are looking for a job, or you are a large business or a small business looking to fill a role, then you might want to take a look at the premium account. But it's definitely not necessary if you're just using LinkedIn on a regular basis.
Cool, thanks. There's hands up, and I'm afraid to push the buttons. I don't want to screw it up. Okay, another question. I think Christina had the same question earlier. She noticed that Roxanne shared that open house, and it said via Facebook. Her question was, does Facebook automatically share with LinkedIn? And I told her no, use Buffer, but is there any other products that you know that play nice in the sandbox together back and forth between Facebook and LinkedIn?
Yeah, so well, you can post to LinkedIn from things like Hootsuite, Buffer, Sprout Social. Gosh, there's tons of other ones. If you just search social media management applications or social media management tools, you'll find blogs with lists of things that play really well with social profiles. I personally like to use Buffer, and I've used Sprout Social in the past. That's also a great tool. It just got really pricey. I use Buffer to post things to LinkedIn pages or profiles, and then I schedule time during the day to go in and like or comment on things. And that's usually how I do it. Or if you want to share something organically, you can do that as well. But I definitely recommend, something like a Buffer or a Sprout Social, or if, you want to find it, there's a lot of free tools out there too as well that offer minimal services like that.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to try to do this. Hopefully I don't end the
I'm
webinar. So
so
just in
scared. I'm
case,
so
love you all for being here. All right, let's try it. I think it's Ron. Ron, hopefully you're on there still. Let me see if I can unmute him. Unmute Ron. I'm trying. I'm trying, Ron. Hang in there. All right, Ron, are you there to ask a question? Ron.
Ron.
Bye, Ron.
Hello, hello, Ron.
Okay, that's it. That's all he got. All right, let's see. Oh, so we know it works. So if you want to raise your hand, I won't hang up on everybody. Another question is, what is this? Oh, we just got notified by 2 people that you could try the free 30-day trial from the premium. Make sure you cancel it. So Masaki has a great question. What are the top 5 social media platforms definitely be on? And let me answer that, Deanna, as a real estate agent. So here we go, Masaki. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and okay, Deanna, help me with the 5th one.
No, you got this. Go for
Pinterest.
it.
And hey, basically every one of the classes that we're doing, I don't know if you can say they're the most important because honestly, I have clients that will only use LinkedIn. I have clients right now, and I mean clients, not even friends, that will only communicate with me through Snapchat. So I guess you can't say anything is most important, although LinkedIn and Facebook by far leads the industry with connecting and maintaining relationships. But you got to find out where your audience is. If you're a 21-year-old real estate agent and have friends and potential clients in the same age, you might be only tweeting and Instagramming them. Well, here's a good story. The other day, it was really weird. I woke up early on a Sunday, and my wife says, "Where are we going to breakfast today?" And I said, "I don't know." And I was going through Twitter, and I saw a advertisement or a tweet from Route 66 saying, "Come on in, we have the best, blah blah blah." So I thought that was so fascinating. I said, "You know what? I'm going to go there." Because I hadn't thought about that in a long time. So I actually retweeted and I tagged them and I said, "Hey, because of your tweet, I am coming out there." And we actually had a little Twitter thing while I was there. I'm here. It's really good. And I actually picked up a client from that because I hashtagged Santa Clarita in social media and somebody else was searching that for some reason. And she called me interested in buying a home in that area. So it's really funny how that works. So to answer your question, there you go. Okay, Ron says, oops. Should I try Ron again? Ron, is your hand up? Okay, it's not up. Let's see. Oh, Ron's got a proxy. Christina got cut off, and that's it. So the problem is I really answered all those questions privately, and I just didn't know they delete them. So normally I leave them all till the end, but I was trying because there were so many just to answer. Okay, guys. Deanna, do you have anything to add? We're right at that hour mark, and I promise people I try not to go over too much.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend. I know I had a lot of emails after the last Google Plus training. If you have any questions that didn't get answered, or you're still a little bit confused, or you need a little bit of extra help, definitely get in touch with me via email or connect with me on LinkedIn if you can find me. If you are getting started with social media or you've already got profiles, one of the biggest things that I can recommend to agents, business owners, whoever you are, is to start slow. Don't jump on everything all at once. So definitely make sure you have a LinkedIn profile for sure, and don't, overwhelm yourself with too much. Just give yourself some time, and one of the biggest pieces of advice that I give to everyone that I talk to is to start with one channel and then build it. Start with another every couple weeks. Just do that. If you have questions and you're a part of the Facebook group, please feel free to throw them in there as well. If you have questions, feel free to email me, Deanna@starksocial.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn.
What's next week?
Next week we will see you for Instagram, because I was already working on the presentation.
With the question mark at the end?
Instagram for business. So this is, just to remind you guys, this Instagram is a great tool. If you are an agent or a business owner, I know a lot of you guys, I've started following you on Instagram and you're doing a great job. But next week I have some new tips and tricks that you guys can use to increase your presence and awareness.
And I really have had some success on Instagram too. And I'll share with you guys my theory or philosophy on it and how I use it and how it's been successful. But it's a pretty powerful tool. And if you're over the age of 35, it's just really hard to get your mind wrapped around. But if you're under, that's what your life's all about, and it's really insane. So, all right, we really look forward to seeing you next week. We really thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this. And I promise you, if you learn one little bit of something that gets you a lead or a client, it's all worth it for you guys to spend an hour of your day. And reach out anytime to either one of us. The Facebook group's obviously the best. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.